So it was never a conscious decision, but over the course of 6 years, just slowly developed into this all-out party. And, and eventually it got to the point where I just stopped having to have all the theatrics because it was just a party in itself and people came out to the music, which is great because, I'm not trying to put on a play. I'm trying to, make music. And then, at some point, I think I just grabbed someone to get on stage, and then that just, I don't know, just spiraled out of control. And since then, everyone wants to do that. And now all the shows have just become this great party, and I think it's very interactive and a great experience. And I've never really seen anything else like it. I've been to great parties where people are DJing, been to great rock shows, but it's in this other weird place that, I'd never planned it to be. It just has happened, and I really like it. I'm really comfortable with it. It's become, it's come up with its own concert etiquette for this very weird new kind of music.
It's funny that you say like that as you get simpler and simpler, the response is better and better. Do you think there's something to like call and response, maybe going back to like basic elements of music? Do
Sure.
You ever feel that? Like,
yeah, it's kind of clear that if you're gonna make things simpler, people are gonna get into them easier. More people are gonna get into them, and if you were watching this movie and you never heard my music, I still think it's a pretty weird and complicated thing, but it's it's just the new albums took me forever to piece together. It's complicated in my mind, but at the same time, it is the watered down, accessible version of what I've been doing over the past 5 years. I think the last album even had probably double the samples, just, so many small ones you couldn't recognize them. So yeah, I don't know. Over the years, I grew less interested in experimental music in general and found myself just not listening to that type of stuff as much, and just what I listen to is the radio. I love like the hip hop mix stations and the Friday and Saturday night kind of, where the DJs go to town and just go for hours just mixing a whole bunch of different things up, no attention span. So that was kind of the influence, just take it from there and just, just make something accessible that, maybe possibly everyone could enjoy. Start, behaving like the pop that I actually embrace.
you used words like participatory and interactive a couple of times. Do you find like that the internet or like internet culture has influenced the way you make music or the way you create?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's easier to track down music. A lot of the music I do is based around having acapellas of songs, and I go out and buy 12 inches when I can, but, the internet for acapellas makes it so easy, and even, I always try to sample off CDs when I can, but just thinking about trying to figure out songs you want to sample, the internet makes it so easy. And then, these days with stuff like MySpace and YouTube, it's become very democratic, and it's the ultimate equalizer right now where anyone can, start a MySpace page and be as big as any other artist on a major label. I think it's so great, And I think something like Night Ripper, I don't think would nearly spread without the internet, It's the main tool of, how the word got out. It's these building blocks. I watched it happen, You send CDs out to all these people, a few people start blogging about it, then all of a sudden once the people start blogging about it, the websites want to start reviewing it, then once the websites start reviewing it, the magazines want to start reviewing it, and then once the magazines want to start reviewing it, television, etc. I witnessed it firsthand, this just spread of information from the ground up. And, just even thinking back 10, 15 years ago, whenever I first started getting into music, the way you found out about bands was college radio or zines. But you just had no basis. Even whenever you got into a band, I think it was really hard to understand how big they were, or what they were into, or who their friends were. Now you go on MySpace and you know who's friends with who. It's just it's such a clearer picture of where everyone exists now. And I think, with me, it's just everything. This wouldn't exist 15 years ago, not even on the musical level, just on the way it spread. I don't think the word would get out as quickly. Mm-hmm. And I think with the internet, remix culture in general is taking off. These days, every song, as soon as a song comes on the radio, there's 50 remixes, 1,000,000 remixes by everyone who does remixes, pop up on the internet, on message boards, send around on blogs. And it's great. It's just the way music functions, and there's so much now, and people get their name out. People sit at their bedroom and make music, and that's it, and possibly never play shows, and yet they have thousands of fans all across the world.
Yeah, it's cool. What are your thoughts on like some of the more blatant sexuality that's at your shows? Like people seem.
I think it's cool, you know. I think I sample a lot of blatantly sexual music, and you know, I think the element of the music is debaucherous. It's just, you know, there's no rules. We're just gonna throw in everything, every aspect. I mean, if you wanted to throw the ultimate party, I think with people, I think it would be like my album, where you know Kurt Cobain would be shooting up heroin in the corner next to, you know, Biggie Smalls drinking champagne, and just no rules. You know, just everyone there. And you know, I celebrate, you know, I sample a lot of traditional dance music and hip hop music, so there's a lot of sexual content. So I think that's awesome, you know, I think the music's very sexual, you know, to me. I don't really intend it to be that way. It's just, you know, what I like to sample. It's a lot of the music I like to hear whenever I go out dancing. So yeah, I'm really comfortable with it. I think it's a great manifestation of the energy of the music.
I can tell you're comfortable with it. Are you okay for time still? What do we got?
We're okay for time.
Okay. What are like your morals of sampling? I mean, people talk about moral rights, like somebody had taken something that you'd made and cut it up into something that towards a message you didn't agree with or something like that. Do you ever think like, oh geez, I don't know if I want to.
Right.
Elton would be really happy with somebody like shaking their booty to this. Or
yeah, I mean, to a degree, I mean, I take that into consideration. And I don't know how I'd feel, you know, if I was a singer-songwriter and someone was sampling my music. I never picked up a computer. I really can't say, and I understand people's right for not wanting them to be manipulated, but, you know, at the same time, when you are putting music out there and releasing it, you could, if you're really that sensitive about it, maybe you should just, you know, pass it along to your friends and just keep it on your computer at home. Once you're releasing it out there, you're a public figure, and especially with, you know, not even to get on a super political edge, but, you know, that music is shoved upon everyone. You know, you can't even not face it even if you want to. Even though I want to face and I like the music, it is shoved on you everywhere. And it's just like, you know, kind of being a celebrity and walking down the street, you know, someone has the right to take your photo if you're just hanging out. And, you know, I agree. I think there could be problems though, as far as, you know, sending mixed messages, but the angle I take with sampling is that it is pop music, almost everything I sample, and no matter how serious or not serious you take it, I view it on a very similar level, and everyone on a similar artistic value. Whether you're Two Live Crew or Paul McCartney, you know, you're just trying to get across your particular message, and that's not your entire existence. You know, Paul McCartney isn't what you hear in a song. He's a human being. Two Live Crew is when you hear in a song. They're human beings. They have other views other than, you know, having sex with women. And Paul McCartney isn't probably always the sweetest dude in the world writing silly love songs. So to that degree, you know, just blend them all together, I think it's more of a reality, and it's kind of like you're putting it out there. You really shouldn't take yourself necessarily. I take my music very seriously. I want everyone to. I think it's important, but you shouldn't take it that seriously where you can't see, you know, the fun in something of manipulating and collaging. I think it's just a natural process. You know, I think the ideas that we're kind of set on now have just been set by, you know, the rules and how copyright was founded in this very particular way. It's not necessarily logical. It's kind of like, you know, alcohol laws and drug laws in the United States. It's not necessarily logical. It just makes sense based on how it was founded. It just happened to start away and it's gone that way. So with, you know, copyright, it just went a certain route, and I don't know if it necessarily makes that much sense. It's just there now. And, you know, people have a hard time taking a step back and thinking, wow, sampling is an instrument, you know. People can't even get past that. And, you know, I think potentially in the future we're going to look back and just be like, wow, I can't believe people were having these moral struggles with someone collaging two songs together. Seems like something that could be very dated very fast.
Yeah, do you think it's gonna change? Are you changing it?
I don't know if I'm changing it. You know, I'm not even trying to change it. You know, if it changes, hooray. If not, you know, I continue to make my music. But you know, I think it will. I don't know if it's now or when, but it just seems like something where you know, everyone's just going to keep getting more and more extreme with protecting their own ideas. And, you know, I think eventually everyone's going to realize that it's beneficial to share ideas. And I think copyright serves its purpose. You know, someone shouldn't be able to bootleg a CD and make money off it, you know, but it exists. I don't know where it stands now, if it's the correct place or not, but, you know, I think in the future we're going to have to reevaluate, especially in the time of internet and file sharing and everything like that, you know. YouTube, all of that. It's just a whole new era and a new way to look at how we're approaching ideas and how to share them. And I don't know if I'm changing, and I don't know if it'll change in my lifetime. I definitely think somewhere down the road we're going to look back and say, I can't believe that, people were, you couldn't cut up a song, you couldn't cut up a half a second from a song and rearrange it into a new song in 2007.
Are you just worried about, as your mom, about getting sued, or?
A little bit, there's, I don't want to like name many names, but there's a lot of people who release, sample-based music on a very underground level. Lots of it. I buy tons of it. And I've always just taken it as something, people do, and if it flies under the radar, it flies under the radar, no one's hurt. And if it gets a little bigger, then you might get a cease and desist and it's over. So I never anticipated my last album to kind of go to the level it was at all, especially because I thought my second to last album was good, and I got little to no response, So, I don't know, it's just gotten to a crazy point now where I definitely have to be a little nervous. But I feel good about what I'm doing, as far as the moral edge of that, I feel good that it's not hurting anyone I'm sampling. I think I'm potentially helping the artists on the album by it's more of a promotional tool. So I feel like I'm doing, a good thing, and I've said it for years, I'm not even trying to push the boundaries by releasing this music. If I could, I would give it away for free if I could be taken as serious as an artist. I think if I would have put Night Ripper on the internet, everyone would say, oh, it's some kid in his bedroom doing some novel little experiment. It's kind of cute, and not take it seriously. But once you press it on a CD and put your name on it, like any band, once you have a real CD, people take you seriously, as opposed to a band with a demo tape. No one's going to take that as seriously. So I've always just wanted to release my music, have it be heard, and be taken seriously. It just happened to be I found a label who's willing to release it, and it was this awesome thing, and it's a rock and roll fantasy to be able to have a CD with your name and picture on it. It's great. But yeah, I would give it away for free if I could, but I think, releasing it, I don't really see any problems with it. I think, in general, I just see, promise with what I'm doing. It's just so many kids coming out to shows, so much positive energy, so many kids open to so many types of new music. It just seems great to me, and I don't know, so many young, more indie-minded kids getting into non-pretentious mainstream music. I think if anything, the record label should be supporting this, especially when people like the Shins are releasing their album to #2 on the charts on an indie label. So, I don't know. I don't feel bad about what I'm doing. I feel good.
Mm-hmm. So why do you keep it a secret from people at work?
That's a whole different, that's just the social dynamic, it started because whenever I started working there about 2 years ago, I just was not really popular as an artist, Could go to every city and play to about 30 people. I thought that was good. I thought I was doing really well. And, so it was just bizarre. It's an engineering crew, and it's 20 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. It's kind of a conservative crowd, so, if I went in there, I was like, I'm in a band called Girl Talk, and I don't really play an instrument, but I sample people, but it's not really DJing, and I happen to take off my shirt sometimes when I play, It'd just be really difficult to explain it. It's kind of the reason I didn't go there initially. And then since then, it just has gotten crazy, and now I would not start a job today if I didn't have a job, but if I did, I would tell them, I'm in this band, but now it's just gotten so crazy that I can't just be like, well, actually, I didn't tell you for the past 4 months I've been selling out shows every weekend and flying and, signing girls' flesh and, having guys pour beer all over me and stuff like that. So, it just would be a weird situation. I don't think they'd have a problem with it. It would just be, I don't know, I'm kind of caught in this Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm style, like, socially weird lie.
So let's hold just for 1 second. We're up. Except I've got a boom pole in the shot.
Okay, first of all, your line about sample-based music was a bit long, so let's just do like what kind of music you make. I make. So how would you describe the music you make?
To describe the music I make, I would probably just call it sample-based music to keep it simple. But I also like the term plunderphonics just because John Oswald was always an influence to me, and I think he was trying to do similar things, but just, taking pre-existing pop music and putting his own spin on it and creating whole new music out of pre-existing music, which is what I try to do. So if that genre is called plunderphonics, then I do plunderphonics.
Cool.